put this on recording in progress. So everyone, welcome to this evening's session. I feel so honored to have all of you joining in. We've got 14 people all together. So I feel so honored, so blessed that you are joining me in this session on self-actualizing leadership, how to get your psychology right. So that's what the topic is all about. And what I would like to do to begin this session, just to invite each and every one of you just to introduce yourself. Probably let me just introduce myself. I'm Mazuki. I'm your host for this evening, and we'll be having this discussion on self-actualizing leadership. It is a topic that is very close to my heart, and I need to apologize from the very beginning if I get overly excited about it, because it is something that I'm working on myself. So that's what I just want to mention. So I'd like to invite each and every one of you to introduce yourself to everyone who's here. Just mention your name and where you are calling from. So I'd like to begin with the top right-hand corner of my screen. Calda, would you like to just introduce yourself in that way? Go ahead.
Okay, sure. Hi everyone. This is Calda. I'm from Vibrant Engineering. We have worked with, we have some programs with Nexus previously. It was for the ISO and ISO 9001, and then we also attended with them for a leadership training before. So this is like a second event with Nexus. I believe, frankly speaking, I do not know where we got where we are having this invitation from, but this was shared from our management. So I'm glad, Jim Mazuki, for having us for this topic. We are really looking forward to it.
Thank you, Calda. And over to you, Guaching.
Hello, hi, Guaching from PJ. Yeah.
Thank you, Guaching, for that introduction. And Dr. Amin, go ahead.
Hi. Yeah, hi. My name is Amin Khan, AK, and I'm from KL. Is that what you want to know?
Yes, just a brief. Thank you. Thank you. And Bella, you're next.
Thank you, Mr. Masuki. Hi, everyone. My name is Bella. I'm from Nexus Tech.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. And Sakina, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sakina. I'm from Bandar Baru Bangi.
Bandar Baru Bangi. Thank you.
Thank
and you. Next, I'll go for LHH. I wonder if you can, if you can speak. Earlier, I couldn't get any sound from you. Oh, yes.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So I'm Lim Heng Hee. I'm working in same company with Calder. So under Vibrant. So basically we have this program with Nexus before. So
hey, thank you for joining us. Next, Suyin, go ahead.
Hi everyone, Suyin here. I'm from KL.
KL, thank you. And Hashim, go ahead.
Assalamualaikum and good evening, everyone. I'm in Klang Valley. I speak in Klang.
Thank you, Hashim. And next, Wansin. Your audio, you are still muted. Okay.
Yeah, hi, good evening, everyone. I'm sorry that I'm having my dinner right now. I'm actually from Nexus Wise. I met Mr. Mazuki before. And one of the emotion intelligence program together with my other teammates. Yes. Nice to meet you all.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you too, Mr. Mazuki.
Yeah. And over to you, KM Choi.
Hello, I'm Choi. I'm from Ipoh. Currently, I'm attached to Spritzer Berhad.
Okay. Right. Thank you for joining us from Ipoh. And Nicole, go ahead.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Nicole from Nexus Tech. Actually, I also attended Mr. Mazuki in the training is about the emotional intelligence previously. Yeah, so looking forward with your sharing today.
Thank you for joining us. So blessed. I feel so blessed. And Danielle, you're next.
Hi, Mr. Mazuki, and good evening to everyone. I'm so happy to be here and see a lot of my colleagues here. Yeah, we are from the same company, Nexus.
Yes. Thank you for joining
Thank you.
us again. Yeah, Danielle. And Santi?
Hello, Encik Mazuki. Hi, everyone. I'm Shanti from Nexus Wise. As Wansin and and Wansin and Nicole mentioned, we met before in the same, I think, same session.
Yes.
Nice to meet you again, Encik Mazuki.
Yes, a pleasure to meet you here. And next, Jia Yi.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm Jai from Nexus Wise.
Thank you for joining us. So everyone, again, welcome to this session on self-actualizing leadership. I warned you earlier, this is a topic that is close to my heart because it is something that I'm working on for myself. Now, before we go into the topic, just like to mention here that this program, I'm organizing it under the Institute of Neuro-Semantics, Malaysia. Neuro-Semantics, for those of you who are not yet familiar with it, Neuro-Semantics is the performance of meaning. Neuro, our neurology, semantics is meaning. So when we have meaning, we perform that meaning. So Neuro-Semantics is about how our mind-body system embodies the meaning and how our meanings are expressed in our behaviors and performances. In this, Neuro-Semantics addresses the relationship between meaning and performance and speaks about the incorporation of meaning in our body. It is about performing our highest of meaning, just going up that ladder, the highest level meaning, because when we are performing at our highest and richest meaning, that's when our performance becomes much more focused and higher quality. And for those of you who are new to this, Neuro-Semantics was co-founded by Dr. Michael Hall and Bobby Bodenhammer. And the material that I'll be sharing with you, and this evening I will use the word, I've designed the session to be a little bit more interactive for us to bring in discussions. So be ready for that. Just to mention to you that the source of the material for this evening session is from the training program called Unleashing Leadership by Dr. Michael Hall. Before I embark on this topic, just to welcome those who have just joined us. I see Mark on the screen. Is that Mark or Deirdre there? Yes, go ahead.
Hi, Mr. Mazuki, it's Mark.
Hi, Mark. Good that you're here.
Yes.
Yes, and also just like to welcome. Hi, and also like to welcome Daniel Lu.
Yep. Hi guys.
Hi, good that you are joining us. So thank you for being here. Again, what we'll be discussing this evening is regarding the psychology of self-actualizing leader. you have to get your psychology right to get your leadership right. So what we'll be discussing is what is psychology, what's involved in it, and how does it differ from the psychology that's assumed and presupposed in most leadership. For those of you who've attended my sessions before, over the last couple of weeks, I've been sending you links to the article and also the video of how to demystify leadership, because when we have understanding of leadership that's driven by myth, one of the biggest myths that I was caught in for many years was the myth of positional leadership. If you don't have a position, therefore you're not a leader. So I've been sharing a little bit regarding those, and what we'll be looking into this evening is about self-actualizing leadership. It is not, to a certain extent, it is not a new form of leadership. It is not a new brand or anything. However, it refers to the doingness, the leading, the behaviors of a leader. That is what we are referring to as self-actualizing leadership. So going on to the first point in what we'll be discussing this evening is self-actualization. What do we mean when we use this term in neuro-semantics? This term was first used by Abraham Maslow. We talk about the hierarchy of needs. The highest level is the need for self-actualization. And what I have also noticed is that people tend to use this word in many different ways. One of the ways that people have been using this word self-actualization, because we are referring to the word actual. Self-actualization is about making a certain meaning actual. So I would say the linguistic understanding of the word is to take something that's inside of you and make it actual. That is part of self-actualization. And yes, that is also what we are referring to. At the same time, from the perspective that Abraham Maslow brought to us, self-actualization here, I've just started sharing my screen with you. It does not refer to actualizing goals. It does not just refer to that, because Abraham Maslow was a little bit more specific when he used the term self-actualization. And this is what we are referring to in neuro-semantics when we use this term self-actualization. Because many people tend to talk about, for example, I have a dream to be a very successful entrepreneur, and I enter into entrepreneurship, I work hard and I achieve my dreams. So yes, that in linguistic sense, we say, yes, you have self-actualized your dream. Yet when Abraham Maslow mentioned self-actualization, he's referring to something a little bit more specific. And that is what we are going through this evening. So in neurosemantics, when we use the term self-actualization, what do we mean? So just a few meanings that I just want to bring to your attention. Self-actualization, one of the meanings of self-actualization is making your potentials real or actual. So that's one meaning. So that's the meaning that most people latch on. For example, I have the drive, the desire, because one of my potential is, let's say, in music. So I want to actualize my potential in music through the performing arts. So that's one meaning of self-actualization. Another is becoming all you can be. Becoming all you can be, referring to, let's say you are working in IT, and you know that your passion is in IT and you want to excel in that particular area, and you work hard, you practice hard, you experiment with things, you learn new things and become the best that you can in that particular area. That is also what we are referring to as self-actualization. Next one is developing as a human being so that you become fully functioning. So this is another area that most people tend to overlook, because a human being, when they are functioning fully as a human being, when they are fully functioning as a human being, then the best of behaviors comes out. So this is part of what we'll be going in a little bit more detail this evening. Yeah. So just want to request, because I've been hearing a little bit of sounds in the background, if you can just, if you don't mind, to mute your mic for a bit, and in a short while I'll just be asking you to unmute, because I'd like to get some feedback from you. So the third meaning there again, developing as a human being so that you become a fully functioning person. And part of what Abraham Maslow has also mentioned, the fully functioning human being is not somebody that has things added to them. It's just that is the person who has nothing taken out of them. I want you to think about that for a moment, because in order for you to be fully functioning, you are already equipped to be one. It's just that for many of us, a lot of things leash us or inhibit us from bringing out the best in ourselves. So that's fully functioning person. The next point about self-actualization is hearing your inner voice of authenticity. You are being and acting and doing, as a human being. You are congruent with yourself. You are hearing your inner voice and being congruent in that. So you are living through to the higher being values. And probably one other one that I want to mention here is that experiencing your full humanness and full individuality. So these are just 5. In a short while, I'll be going, I'd like to go with another 5 more meanings to self-actualization. However, I'd just like to pause here. I'd just like to pause and to invite any one of you, if you have any ideas that struck your mind, as I mentioned about self-actualization from the perspective of Neuro-Semantics, what ideas that came to you, or if you have any questions before we go to the second 5. So those are the first 5. Go ahead. If you have something to add, to contribute, to ask questions, I'd like to invite you to do that. Anyone has any questions? Yes.
Okay, hi, I'm in here. Can I?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah. Mazuki, there is a book by Deepak Chopra. He called it Meta-Human. Okay. Now, it sounds like self-actualization, but he called it Meta-Human. Have you seen it? That article.
No. What's the title of the book?
Meta, M-E-T-A, meta, above, human.
Meta-human.
Yes, that's the title of the book.
Okay, okay.
And it sounds like self-actualization. Basically, the higher value of yourself.
Okay.
So I found it interesting.
That's interesting. Yeah. Okay.
So just sharing. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Okay.
Yeah, and I guess when you shared that, the thought that comes to mind is that yes, we human beings aspire to all of those. It's just that we use different names for it. What's important is afterwards, the second part, afterwards, we are going to go into the specific descriptors of what a self-actualization, a self-actualizing person is. Okay, so let me just move on to the second 5 of when we in Neuro-Semantics we talk about self-actualization. What do we mean by that? So next one is when we talk about self-actualization, we are talking about a person who has psychological health and wholeness. They are healthy psychologically and they are whole. So they are not, their psychologics are not hurt. They are able to utilize their psychologics in ways that are healthy. So that's the next one. Okay. So next one is, excuse me, I just need, I had a call coming in, so I need to put it out. Okay, sorry about that. Now, the next point is learning to be the best version of you. To me, that's significant in the sense that you are not trying to be you are not trying to be somebody else. Yeah, let me just, oh dear, I forgot. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, you are not trying to be somebody else. However, what is the best version of you? So that's another one we are referring to self-actualization. Next is living at the top level of the hierarchy of needs. So just a little reminder for those of you who are aware, and for those of you who are not yet aware, we are talking about the hierarchy of needs. At the lowest level, we are living at the level of the physiological needs, the needs of the body. The next level, we move to the level of safety and security, to feel safe, to feel secure. That's why we function better when we have homes to live in, because that gives us safety and security. Next level is the level of love and belonging. That's why we want to relate and connect with other human beings. It makes us feel loved and we belong. Next level is the level of esteeming, self-esteem and the esteem of others. So there is that need in us to esteem others and to have the esteem of others upon us, that respect that we get from others. And the highest level is the self-actualization level, because that level is the level where your potentials are coming out into the world. You are bringing in your worth towards the world, filling the world with the worth that you are having inside of you. So when we talk about self-actualization, we are talking about living at the top level of the hierarchy of needs. And just a quick reminder over here that in as much as self-actualization, we are moving to the top level, we as human beings need to fulfill or gratify the needs in all levels at any moment in time. So just a quick reminder that. Then self-actualization is about the synergy of meaning and performance. So that's why in Neuro-Semantics, neurology, that's the performance, semantics, that's meaning. So it's about climbing up the higher levels of meaning so that you can give your best performance in whatever it is that you do. And the next point is about doing what you must do to fulfill your inner drive. So that's another aspect of self-actualization. So that's why one of the words that Abraham Maslow brought to us is that if a person were to deliberately not be themselves fully and completely, deliberately not wanting to be that. What he said was, I can assure you that he will have an unhappy life, because we human beings have that desire to fulfill our inner drive, to come forth into this world with that particular talent that we are born for. So these are another 5 meanings that from Neuro-Semantics, when we talk about self-actualization, these are another 5. So I'd like to pause over here in order that any one of you, if you have any points that you would like to share, any questions that you would like to ask. Oh dear, I didn't notice that my camera went blank. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Ashim?
Yeah, I think of all the 10, what strikes me is the first number 1.
Okay.
Because if you can get over the hurdle of the first one, then we can go to the next step. Making your potential real or actual. This is where, to me, through my observation, that many people out there, and from my experience and conversation with people around me, we do not realize or uncover our real potential, so much so that we are actually not performing to what we are wanting to do. Is that what it means in the first one?
Yes, yes. And when you mention that, I consider one of the myths that people have about potential. People tend to associate potential with the artistic aspect. So that musician, that dancer. However, when we talk about potential, everyone have potentials in different areas. So in your case, it's engineering. So when you actualize that potential in engineering, you are doing that. Because sometimes I meet people, they are doing wonderful work in the work that they are doing. It could be in the area of finance or in the area of IT or whatsoever. But thinking that potential has got to be singing or dancing or music, so they feel unfulfilled with what they are currently doing. So that's why sometimes, not just sometimes, frequently, when people ask me about how do I know what my potentials are, I would say to them, look at what you are doing now and what you have been doing before, because those are clues to show you what your potentials are. Okay, thank you for that, Hashim. Anyone else has got any ideas or questions?
Mazuki, Amin here.
Yes.
Hashim did mention about making your potential real, but what was at the back of my mind when I listened to him, I'm of the view that it's not easy to know your potential because your true potential is clouded by certain things like fear, worry, and so on. So the ability to see your true potential, what I believe is important for me, number one, and then to make sure that it turns into reality. Because for me, what I turn to reality is normally not my true potential because of the fear, the worry, etc. So what you have as true potential for me is much more than what I can do today. If I can remove certain things from my mind. So self-actualization is basically to remove those drag effects, I call it, from your potential.
Yeah.
So as a meaning, I agree, is making your potential real. But the setback, seeing the potential is difficult unless you believe in yourself. That is my view now.
Yes, I agree with you there. So that's why we have neuro-semantics. Neuro-semantics is about getting rid of those blocks, getting rid of those blocks.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, and I just want to draw a distinction from what I say and from what Dr. Amin said just now. You may be operating, and this is what I understand from what Dr. Amin mentioned just now, you may be operating in your existing area of talent. However, you have not reached your full potential yet because of the blocks, of the drag factors. Now, one misconception that people have is that they are thinking that because what they are doing is mundane, things like doing up the accounts, making calls because they work for somebody, because they are doing the mundane, it means that they are not fulfilling the potential. It could not be, yeah? Because your potential could be in the area of, let's say, engineering. I use the example for Hashim. I'm also previously an engineer, so I could be performing in the area of my potential. It's just that I have not reached the highest level yet because, as Dr. Amin mentioned, of the blocks, of the drags. So this is where neuro-semantics comes in, to explore what's holding you back from achieving your highest potential. And it could be that you are doing something which is outside of your talent, and because of that, you are feeling dissatisfied with what you are doing. So in that scenario, you need to look for that talent. What is that? And typically, as I mentioned to you, for me, use your past experiences to guide you. If I were to use the words of Steve Jobs, he said, "You cannot join the dots looking forward. You can only join the dots looking backwards." So sometimes you are already operating in your area of potential. You just didn't notice it yet. He gave the example of when he was in what's the university he went to? Can't remember that university. Was it Stanford University that he went into? He took up calligraphy. Yeah. And at the time that he took up calligraphy, he had no clue why he took up calligraphy. It's just that a few years later, after he founded Apple, started making the Mac, and then making the fonts on the screen, that was when he realized, oh, that was the reason why he took up calligraphy, so that what we see on the screen is exactly as what we want. Because prior to Mac, you have all of the standard fonts. You don't have the true type fonts or all of this Arial, Times New Roman, everything. Those of you who are of my age, we are used to those green letterings on the on the computer. So this thing called what you see is what you get came after that. So what we are doing at the moment, this is also one area that I just want to address here. What we are doing at the moment could be a clue of what we should expand in our life, and it may not be. So that's another skill that we want to learn. Okay. Anyone else has got any things that you would like to mention? So moving on to the next point is the characteristics of the self-actualizing person. characteristics of a self-actualizing person, not people. Okay. Now, what are they? What I'm going to do, as I mentioned to you, I would like to have this a little bit more interactive this evening. Abraham Maslow listed 19 characteristics. So now we are going into specifics. So what are the behaviors of a self-actualizing person? So I'm going to bring up 5 of these characteristics at each time. What I would like to invite you to do is to think about what are the ideas, knowledge, understandings, beliefs, values that a person needs to have in order to exhibit these characteristics. Because one of the things that we talk about people behaving in ways that we call self-actualizing. So this is where we are coming to the point of looking into the specifics. So what do we need as a human being in order to have these characteristics? So are you ready for that? So I'm going to reveal the first 5 and let's continue with this. Okay, 1 is the capacity of tolerating uncertainty. So that's one characteristic of a self-actualizing person. Another is acceptance of self and others. So as I'm going through each and every of these characteristics, I'd like you to think about what understandings or beliefs does the person need to have in order to be operating in this way. The third one is spontaneity and creativity. That's another characteristic of a self-actualizing person. Number 4 is need for private and solitude, detachment. They have that need to detach from others. So this is another characteristic. And the 5th one here is capacity for deep and intense relationships. So as you take in mentally, or even if you were to write it down, as you take in these first 5 characteristics, I'd like to invite you just to come up with what are the understandings, meanings, values, beliefs a person needs to have in order to exhibit or in order to live their life with these characteristics. The reason why I'm asking you this is because if a person, and for many of us, we don't know how to actualize our best self. And Michael gave me this observation. He says that he has not met anyone who is self-actualizing who is below the age of 50. So what struck me was, do we human beings need 50 years of our life before we can actualize our best self? So by understanding the characteristics of self-actualizing person, probably we can do it much faster. Okay, so now I'd like to open up to all of you. What are the beliefs, mindsets, presuppositions that a person needs to have in order to be operating from any of these characteristics? Go ahead, anyone. Hashim, you want to share something?
50 years, that's long. 5 decades. But what happened to guys or persons who leave the world before the age of 50, but they contribute a lot to the society? and it seems that they self-actualize into what they are in potential. Example, the late Aminuddin Baki, he's such a great man, but he left the world at the age of 39. So that yardstick of 50 years, is it out of some kind of research, or what does that 50 years of age means when Michael said that?
Yeah, operating from the characteristics, the people who are behaving, they are living their lives with these characteristics. So altogether, Abraham Maslow listed 19, and in his own personal observation, what he noticed is that for most people, so the point is, there are some people who are able to actualize themselves earlier. It's just that for most people, it does take them 10 decades. The reason being is that we have to go through our own learning process. How we can accelerate that? So this is what I would like to suggest as we discuss this. How we can accelerate that is to model. So that is where Neuro-Semantics, NLP comes in. Understanding that these are the characteristics, what are the mindsets that we can model so that when we apply it to ourselves, for example, the capacity of tolerating uncertainty. So what mindsets do I need to have? Do I need to bring to myself in order to be able to tolerate uncertainty? If I don't understand the end game, this is the behaviors of people who are self-actualizing. That's why I need 50 decades in order, 5 decades in order to get there. Yeah. For example, acceptance of self and others. When we are born into this world, we are highly self-centered. Little children, especially those of you mothers and fathers who have little children, before the age of, I would say before the age of 5 or 6, your child is totally self-centered. So how well does that child accept others? They may be struggling with accepting themselves, and then they need to accept others. From Neuro-Semantics perspective, we talk about the matrix of self, and then from there, developing the matrix of power, and then the matrix of others. So in order for us to be able to accept ourselves, one of the presuppositions in NLP is person and behavior describe different phenomena. So coming from that understanding, from that realization, when I notice that I'm not good at something, I can still accept myself, because my not being good at something is an indicator of my skill. It is not about me. Me as a person is whole, is complete. It's just that I have not learned the right skills in order to perform that. So when I'm able to have that distinction between acceptance of self, I'm also able to accept others, as they say, warts and all, knowing that people have their own limitations because of the lack of competencies. And yet, human beings are wonderful as persons, as individuals. So having that mindset that people and behavior are distinct phenomena makes it easier for me to accept myself, regardless if I am incompetent in so many things. And come to think of it, there are more things I'm incompetent in than the things that I'm competent in. So and because of that, it helps me to accept myself much more easily. So this is where the concept of unconditional self-esteem comes in. These are the inner game. That when we have this inner game, it helps us to be able to actualize these characteristics much easier for ourselves. Anyone else has got any points with respect to the 5 characteristics I mentioned? Capacity of tolerating uncertainty, acceptance of others and self, spontaneity and creativity, need for private solitude, detachment, and capacity for deep and intense relationships. Okay, are you ready to go to the next 5? Let's take a look at the next 5 characteristics of self-actualizing people. Next one is genuine, caring, and love. You genuinely love yourself and others. Number 7 is altruistic. Altruistic meaning to say your behaviors are driven to serve the needs of others, not just to serve your own need. Yes, you need to take care of yourself. That's self-care. Altruistic is about doing things for the benefit of others. Number 8 is self-transcending. What you are doing, you are going beyond self. It is not just about you. It's about the people around you. It's about your family members. It's about the society that you're in. It's also about the world that we live in. Number 9, a sense of humor and lightness. We don't take ourselves too seriously, and that is why in Neuro-Semantics, one of the presupposition that we have that relates to this is, if you get serious, you get stupid. Okay, so that's one presupposition. I mean, come to think of it, I consider myself as a recovering perfectionist. I've not fully recovered yet. So I went through a long phase in my life that if I were to make a mistake, then I would attack myself internally because I shouldn't have made that mistake. I should do things perfectly. So I was overly serious about myself. So a self-actualizing person is, they have the humor and lightness. When they make a mistake, noticing that it's a mistake, they can just laugh at themselves for making mistakes, because from that, they can learn so much better instead of being overly serious. So that's why in Neuro-Semantics, we say, if you get serious, you get stupid. And number 10 is an inner directedness. There is an absence of artificial dichotomies. That dichotomy of love, hate, weak, strong, work, play. So there is no dichotomy. You are able to move along that continuum. So these are the second 5 characteristics of self-actualizing people. And in Neuro-Semantics, we tend to use the word self-actualizing instead of self-actualized, because we human beings don't ever actualize fully. We are continuously on the journey of becoming better and better. So that's why we say it self-actualizing people. So whatever good that you have brought into this world, well done. At the same time, you have the capacity, the potential to bring more good. So that's why we are saying self-actualizing persons. Okay, let me just pause here and invite any questions or comments with respect to the second set of characteristics? Thank you, Guaching. Question from Guaching. Can you further explain need for private and solitude? Yeah. So one of the characteristics is one of the characteristics of self-actualizing person. They are internally driven. The meta program that we talk about is the meta program for reference, whether it is internal reference or external reference. So a self-actualizing person, they are more internally referenced. And what are they referring to? They are referring to their values. And what are the values based on? The values are based on principle. So if I were to bring in the concept that Stephen Covey brought, principle-centered leadership. Our values are driven by principles rather than driven by fashion or trend. Okay, so we hang our values on principles. So the need for private and solitude is where a person who's fully actualizing, they instead of just reacting to what's out there, they go in and refer to their values, refer to their principles, because those values and principles are ones that will shape their action, how they behave in this world. So they are not reacting to what's outside there. They are responding from their beliefs, values, and principles. So that's why they have that need for private and solitude, because that's where they can quality control their thinking process in order to modify the behaviors out there. Yeah? That's my understanding of that. Anyone else would like to offer insights into that? Yeah. Thank you, Guacheng, for that question. Okay. Let's move to the next 5. The next one is more efficient perception of reality. Efficient in the context of knowing that when we take information, we have a filter. And that filter, to a certain extent, is creating an inefficiency of what we perceive the world is. So more efficient perception of reality allows the person to be able to quality control what they are receiving, the information that they are receiving from out there, and to be able to have the map that is as close as possible to what is happening out there. Yeah. That's the next one. Number 12 is simplicity, naturalness. They self-actualizing people, they don't have airs, they don't need to put up masks. They are themselves, they are natural. Their approach to life is that direct, simple approach. I would say one of the things that when you talk about simplicity and naturalness, look at children, young children, you can see how simple they are in terms of the way that they are looking into this world. Okay, next one is autonomy, independence of culture and need for conformity. So this is very important one, because when we are born into this world, the matrix of the culture tends to shape our outlook of the world. Now, when people are not noticing the cultural matrix. They live their lives according to what culture, has taught them, and they do not exercise their own critical thinking process in terms of the usage of that culture. And for many people throughout their lives, they just have that need to conform. So a self-actualizing person has the capacity to quality control what culture is imposing upon them, and to be able to accept and reject according to what they are using their intelligences. By using the intelligences, they are able to make that distinction whether this cultural practice is relevant, is right, and it can still be used or not. Yeah. So that's number 13, autonomy. Number 14 is mystic experiences. Mystic experiences here refer to when they are engaged in a certain area, the area of potential that they are engaged in. For example, they are an engineer or they are doing research. When they are engaged in that, mystic experience refers to that they are fully and completely absorbed in what they are doing, to the extent that the whole world around them seems as if to fade away. So self-actualizing people, they tend to have more and more mystic experiences because they are totally in the zone of what they are doing. And number 15 is more democratic attitudes and dealing with others. Democratic attitudes here are not referring to the political form of democracy that many societies seems to be implementing in those countries. More democratic here refers to that I am applying the values that I have, the values coming from principles that I have, I apply it on myself. And yet when I notice that other people are not applying those, they have other values for themselves, it's fine by me, because you are running your life according to your own values. As long as your behaviors are not hurting or harming anyone or anything, you may have your values and I have my values. You have your own, you have your way of life, I have my way of life. So a self-actualizing person doesn't have this need to get people to conform to their own values. Okay, so these are another 5 characteristics of self-actualizing people. So anyone has got any questions or comments? Thank you, Guacheng, for that. Yes, Hashim.
I'm attracted by the word mystic. So I feel mystical about this. Maybe you would like to elaborate on this mystic experiences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Was it Mihaly? I think Mihaly, Csikszentmihalyi, he talked about flow. Mystic experience refers to when you are doing something. For example, Hashim, in the area of consulting that you are doing, when you are focusing on a certain aspect of the work that you are doing, you are able to fully focus, fully there with your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions are fully congruent with what you do, to the extent that you are not aware of what's around you. Now you are fully and completely being in the zone. In neurosemantics, we call it the genius state. The state whereby things around you do not distract you. You are fully focused in what you are doing. That's when you are most resourceful, because your mind and emotion is congruent with what you do. So that's what we are referring to, mystic peak experiences. And self-actualizing people, they have many of those experiences, because whenever that they are, for example, just going home and meeting the young son at home, that moment of conversation between father and son or mother and son, that moment of conversation is can be a peak experience for some people, because they are fully and completely with the child, attending to the child, not noticing anything else. What tends to happen for most people is when they are doing a certain, engaged in a certain activity, too many things are coming in for the attention, and they cannot drop those, and they are not fully and completely in the zone of what they are doing. So in neurosemantics, one of the things that we mentioned about how to have these peak experiences is the genius state, the state whereby your mind, your thinking, feeling is fully about the subject that you're attending to, and your saying, doing are fully there, and you are not being distracted by what's out there. And peak experiences can go for 10, 20, 60 minutes, or even 90 minutes. You can be there. Ooh.
That's great. That demystified what is mystic. And possibly that strikes me like to engross reading Gone with the Wind, then miss the flight.
Yes, that happened to Michael. Thank you. There's a question here from Wansin. How do we measure our self-actualization? Actually, there is a tool for that. From the work of Abraham Maslow, and using I'm not referring to the pyramid, the hierarchy. Yeah, using the hierarchy of needs, using the hierarchy of needs, understanding the behaviors associated with each level of the need. So there is a questionnaire that is available right now. If I'm not mistaken, there are something like 40 questions, and we the thing about measuring self-actualization, I like it when you put the question as how do we measure our self-actualization, because it is not for somebody else to measure you, it is for you to measure for the purpose of developing yourself further. Yes, there is a tool for it. I can't remember the name. We call it, if I'm not mistaken, we call it the self-actualization matrix or something like that. Yeah, it is for the for self-purpose, and it is part of the training on self-actualization psychology. We call it the workshop for self-actualization. So it is available. Yeah. Okay. So thank you for asking that. Any other questions or comments? So let's move to just another 4 more characteristics. So let me just bring these to your attention. Characteristic number 15 is the ability to discriminate between means and ends. This is a big one, actually. Many people tend to confuse between ends and means. And sometimes they, because they confuse that, they use means that goes against the ends. That's why those of you who've attended the session on parenting, I brought to your attention the characteristics of self-actualizing persons, because when we parent our children, we want them to have these characteristics. However, if we are not aware that these are characteristics, we want our children to be successful, we may teach our children methodologies to achieve those goals that goes against the characteristics of self-actualizing people. For example, we teach our children moral strength in order for them to be successful in life. They want to grow up being highly moral beings, and yet we teach them shortcut or cheat sheets about how to get the grades in their exams. So you have things like plagiarism and all that in order to get the right grade. So that's an example of a misunderstanding between means and ends. So the ability to discriminate that. Yeah. Number 16, more of a philosophical attitude about things. So this is about understanding that when things happen, bringing it from the philosophy of why things happen, that helps us to understand events from a wider and more ecological perspective. Number 17, a greater sense of sacredness of life. The sacredness of life, that all of life is sacred. We do not want to waste any of it. So sacredness of life at the human level, the sacredness of human life, that any human life is too valuable to be wasted, and also the sacredness of all life. So that's why, even though I may be operating a very productive factory, a self-actualizing person bringing it into the company, into the factory operations, will not want the factory effluent to be toxic, because that toxic effluent will kill other life forms. So this is part of greater sacredness of life. And number 18, a continued freshness of appreciation. This is something that in human beings, I'm going through a certain training program right now. It is called the science of well-being. One of the terms that they use is hedonistic adaptation. That when we experience a certain pleasurable experience, for example, ice cream. You eat ice cream. Oh, you love that ice cream very much. Maybe your favorite ice cream is vanilla ice cream. Okay, so you eat. You find, oh, it is so nice. Then you eat another one. You eat another one. You eat another one. And after maybe the fifth one, you don't feel that it is so delicious anymore. So that is how we have this feature, being able to adapt to a certain pleasure, that after some time we don't experience that pleasure anymore. So this goes in there. Continued freshness of appreciation, that when we experience something that is of beauty, of pleasure, other times we experience that we have that freshness of appreciation. So we don't fall into the trap of hedonistic adaptation. Okay, so this is another perspective. Okay, so those are the 18. I thought there were 19. So sorry, my bad. So those are the 18 characteristics of self-actualizing person. Number 15, ability to discriminate between means and ends. 16, more a philosophical attitude about things. 17, a greater sense of sacredness of life. And number 18, a continued freshness of appreciation. Okay, so let me just invite you to share your thoughts and ideas about these final 4. Oh. Actually, there were 19. I did number 15 twice. Okay. So any questions or comments? Okay, thank you. Guaching, question on can further explain more a philosophical attitude about things. Philosophical meaning to say we are going into the meta-stating process. So when you experience something, instead of reacting according to the emotion that that you feel about that person, you go in and take on multiple perceptual positions, and you think of the different ways of looking at that particular situation. So that is philosophical instead of being reactive to what's happening out there. If I may use the example of any one of you here are familiar with the situations that Naomi Osaka is facing at this moment. Any one of you know Naomi Osaka? She's ranked number 2 in the world tennis circuit. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, because she's won a few Grand Slam events. And during this French Open, prior to the beginning of the French Open, she already mentioned that if it is okay that she does not attend the press conferences, because whenever she attends press conferences, she experiences anxiety, and that prevents her from playing her best tennis. So she played her game. If I'm not mistaken, she played 2 games. She won the games, and from after those games, she did not attend the press conferences. And however, she explained it because she's gone through depression, and one of the things that creates stress for her is to meet the press in that way. It's just that she's not very comfortable. She has that fear, that anxiety. Yeah. And what I would say, the philosophical attitude about things is that when that happens, there are haters and there are lovers out there who comes out, and especially among the haters, they are just reacting to that situation. Oh, she's already a professional and she should be able to handle that well, and all that stuff. By the way, she's only 23. Okay. So it's just that when I notice coming from some of the mature tennis players, when I say mature, they've been on the tennis circuit for more than 10 years. So they have learned to handle the press. However, when Naomi Osaka offered her explanation why she couldn't handle the press, so they went beyond that. They went beyond that. Instead of joining in the chorus of people condemning her, they just say, oh yes, you need to take care of your mental health. If by not attending the press conference, it helps you to take care of your mental health, and that is the right thing to do. And one of the people who said such thing was Serena Williams. She said that I'm able to handle the press my way. This is the way that I handle the press. However, different people handle it differently. So giving the benefit of the doubt, giving the affirmation to Naomi Osaka that it's okay if you cannot handle the press and take care of your mental health. And what Naomi Osaka did was, instead of being embroiled in that controversy, she volunteered to step out of the French Open because she's not able to do that. So philosophical approach about things is not just looking at the event from one perspective, being able to look at it from multiple perspectives at different levels. So that's how I understand that. Okay. Anybody else would like to comment about that? Go ahead, Dr. Amin. You have any comments? Thank you, Guat Ching. Yeah. Anyone else has got any comments? Danielle, any comments from you?
I'm good so far. No comment.
Thank you. So probably what I will do is just to wrap up a few of the points that we've covered, and then I'll just go to each and every one of you and ask your comments about this evening's session. So as a wrap up, just want to mention over here that leaders, for us to be able to lead people, because we lead people, managers manage things. As managers, we manage things. We don't manage people, we lead. In order to lead people, we need to get the psychology right. Achieving competitive success through people depends on how you think of people, the workforce, the relationship. If the employees are disgruntled, it is hard to create good service and high performance. Each leadership style and kind is based on different psychologies, referring to the different assumptions about human nature. So your premises about people, about human nature, about how to work with people, to motivate, to organize, to align and work with and through people, determine your philosophy and leadership style that you will use and operate from. Leadership is psychological and sociological. You can't effectively lead without an adequate and accurate understanding of human nature. To lead people effectively and healthily, you have to understand people, their nature, their psychology, their needs, their dreams, their highest drives. If your psychology is off, so will be your leadership. If your psychology is off, you will misunderstand and misread people and be shocked by them. So that's why as leaders, we need to get our psychology right. And that's why this evening we are talking about self-actualizing leadership, because this is about self-actualization psychology. As a leader, I am actualizing my best self. So when I say that I'm actualizing my best self, one of it is that I am becoming more and more of the characteristics of the self-actualizing people. And I'm on that journey. I'm not there yet. I'm working on it. So that's a self-actualizing as a person. And as a self-actualizing leader, as I lead the people in my organization to achieve organizational goals, I'm also focused on them actualizing the characteristics of self-actualizing people. So I am not just achieving organizational goals, I'm also getting people to become better and better human beings. So as I'm working on myself to become a better human being, I'm also supporting the people that I lead to become better human beings as they achieve organizational goals. So that's probably what I will wrap up the session for this evening. And before we end, I'd just to invite each and every one of you just to give your feedback, your comments about what you have discovered for yourself through this evening session. I'll begin with the top left corner of my screen now, going over to Guat Cheng. Go ahead, Guat Cheng.
Thank you, Marzuki. Good insights and points.
Thank you, Guat Cheng. Appreciate your being here. Every week you are here, really appreciate that. Going on to Calda. Are you there? It's all right. Moving over to Dr. Amin.
Thank you, Marzuki. It is interesting listening to you, but my only question is to you and probably to others. When we use the word self, what is the other side of self? Is there another side of self? The reason I'm asking is this. We tend to say mind, body, mind, brain, and body, or mind, body, and emotions. Where is self on this?
Self.
Self, yeah.
Yeah.
What is the other side of self? I'm trying to understand that. Is there
the other side of self?
Yeah, because I tend to look at human being or two dimension. One is my relational, I call it, meaning me interacting with the environment, interacting with you. And for that, I follow Maslow hierarchy of needs. So my graph is going very much downward in that pyramid. And if I want self-actualization, I go upward.
Yes.
So my draft is for a different purpose. So that purpose is self, as ELF.
Yes.
More needs. You understand what I'm saying? If I put two pyramids, one is inverse and the other one is normal Maslow hierarchy of needs. And in the center of the two pyramids, the normal and the inverse, I put drive.
Okay.
As long as I go to the bottom of the pyramid, I'm driving my needs, my physiological, my safety, my self-esteem, and so on. The moment I go upward to the inverse pyramid, the more I have and the more I want.
Okay.
So going upward, I call it self. Going down, is it body? I'm trying to understand that part, is it? You follow what I'm saying? I still need my inner drive, but my inner drive is for a different purpose. No more for the normal pyramid. Now it's for the inverted pyramid, my drive.
When you say drive, what are you specifically referring to?
No, for me to move, I need the drive. I need the inner drive. My inner drive can be for the self-esteem, can be for looking for security, safety. That is going downward. The Maslow hierarchy of needs.
Okay.
And as Michael mentioned before, the moment you have it, you are satisfied, you're happy.
Yes.
You go to the next level.
Yeah.
But when you go upward, now you have to imagine inverted pyramid. I'm still on the drive. Drive is in the center of the two pyramids.
Okay.
But my drive is for a different purpose. And the more I get, the more I want.
Yes.
I'm never satisfied.
Yes.
Especially knowledge, for example. The more I get it, the more I want more. So going upward, I call it self-actualizing journey.
Okay.
But what do I call going downward? You follow what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes.
I'm struggling with that. What do I call it? If going upward is self-actualizing, what is going downward? I don't have the answer, but I'm just puzzling. I'm asking myself a question.
Yeah. So with the 4 lower level needs, it is all about gratifying those needs.
Correct.
And those needs have, if they are not psychotic, they have their natural thresholds, and those needs are what we are gratifying on a continuous basis. It goes away for a bit. Once you have gratified it, it comes back, just like food, right?
Yeah.
So when we are operating there at the deficiency need, so what do we call that?
Yeah, it basically for my body, I'm hungry, I need food for my body.
Yeah.
I need to bring up my self-image, for example, me in the context of my environment.
Yeah.
Self-esteem.
Yeah.
So what do you call that? Going upward is self. What is going downward?
So that's self-actualization. So these are,
what do you call it? The other side of self, I call it, but what is it? Is it a body? Is it environment? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't have a label for that.
Okay. I know, because when we say self-actualization, it's just like I'm going upward, as if I'm going upward to the universe, as if.
Yes.
But what do I call if I'm going downward?
Yeah, I don't have any label for that.
Yeah. In case someone have the answer, just chip in later. But thanks.
Go ahead. Thank you. Thank you for that. And moving on to Bella. Bella, you have something that you'd like to share with us?
So far, no comment from my side.
Okay.
Because I'm still digesting the 19 characteristics that you share with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
While digesting, I think it could be applied. I mean, it helps when you are dealing with others in terms of your working, the relationship that you are going to maintain with your families, with your friends, and etc.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Right. Sakina?
Hi, Encik Mazuki. I'm so happy with this sessions because my background is business admin. So I'm familiar with these Abraham Maslow pyramid needs, and through my experience as consulting as a consultant also, I experience handling people's and also my subordinate, and also I really like the point that the mystic peak characteristic, the mystic peak need experience, because I think throughout the journey, I believe that I also experience it. I mean, everyone has experienced it also, when you focus and you get so obsessed into that particular moment and focus, and just so wonderful things that you don't seem to achieve, don't seem like you cannot achieve, but suddenly because of your because of your obsessions and the state of genius peak though other time, and then that moment it's turn out you produce a better product and a better project, you achieve something, and then you realize, wow, amazing, it something that you think there is a being power that assists you that moment. You never know that you're going to achieve that, but suddenly you achieve whatever you try to produce, that kind of moment. I really like that one. And then also the one that continue freshness of appreciations, when when you experience a pleasure, and then you think that so many times you have that, like your example, you have experience eating ice cream, right? So and then later so many times you doing that, and then you don't feel anything else, but you craving for another things. And then it come out in my mind, this one saying or this one quote that I just read a few days ago. It says that when you reach the top, is where we start to begin a new one. When we reach the top, it is where we start to begin a new one. So it's always like, you know, you think that you are satisfied with something, you find it something, but there is more that you want to achieve, and it's actually a begins of the new one. The world is big and a lot of to discover. Your body itself is something you need to discover, and it's always that I find it's amazing. It's really amazing thing. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. I love that. I love that sharing. Appreciate that. Thank you very much, Sakina. Let me move on to Lim. Are you ready, Lim?
Yeah. First, I would like to thank Ije Mazuki for sharing the characteristic of self-actualizing. Actually, honestly, before this, I never really thought of this before, because I myself is in this engineering line, is in this project management. So after this session, I feel that a lot of characteristics I can apply to myself, and helping me to achieve further on. I mean, in my works.
Right. Thank you, Lim. I hope that it has been useful for you. Appreciate your comments there. Right.
Thank you, Vijay.
Thank you. So let me move on to Mark. Are you able to speak, Mark? Or
Hi, Mr. Mazuki.
Hi.
Thank you. Thank you for another session and the great sharing. I totally understand why you need 50 years to be fully self-actualized. It's quite a lot in there, 18 points, and reading through it, without the list, I think it takes a lot of experience and knowledge to find this out personally by yourself without going through the steps. Personally, looking at it, it's a long journey reaching self-actualization, and I'm happy to be able to understand the steps. And I think by taking note of the 18 points, I feel it will make me happy man and a happy person.
Wow.
Thank you for your sharing, and very appreciative today. Thanks.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate that, and especially coming from you in athletics. How long would it take you to reach that level of swimming excellence had you not have any coach?
True. Yeah. You might never get that, Mr. Mazuki. Yeah.
Because you don't know the end, so nobody's there to guide you, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what's happening with us human beings, because we don't know the end game as a fully functioning human, and we don't have people to guide us. So that's why I really appreciate the works that Abraham Maslow and Michael Hall in Neuro-Semantics, because to me, that is bringing us the goal and bringing the guide for us to get there.
It's shortening the process. And
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate that. Moving to you, Hashim.
I feel blessed to be in this room of emotionally intelligent people and self-actualizing people. And I think those notes are very important. And to put that into action also is more important. Thank you, Mazuki, for the great sharing this evening. All the best.
Thank you, Hashim. Appreciate that. Thank you. Moving over to Wansin.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Mazuki, for the sharing today. So from today's sharing, I actually learned more about these self-actualizations. I do aware and heard about this Maslow hierarchy of needs, but I don't know there are so many characteristics and criteria that we need to have in order to meet these self-actualizations. I think it's a lifetime homework for us. From time to time, we have to do this self-reflecting on how well are we doing, where are we, and as a leader, it's important to have this self-actualizations attitude to lead and guide the team to the right directions and achieve our goal. And actually, I like the sharing about Mr. Mazuki talking about, yeah, we are not going to be happy if we don't achieve the needs of our life. That's why there are some of the team members in a company, they are not performing and also they are not happy. I think because of they are not releasing their potential. Yeah, I think thanks for sharing. That's all from me. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Wansin. A lot of gems that you've mentioned there, and especially that bit that you mentioned is a lifetime homework. Absolutely. We do not fully actualize in our lifetime, so we are continuously actualizing. So thank you again, Wansin, for that. Right. Moving on to Nicole. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mazuki, for the sharing just now, especially for the characteristic of self-actualizations. So, I mean, it just triggered me to think sometimes what really kills self-actualization is self-doubts. Yeah, because it happens to most of the adults whereby we constantly have self-doubts, like whether I've done good enough, whether in our personal life or in our career. So all this self-doubt, the consequences is we can't unleash our full potential. So it just made me trigger to think that, okay, maybe we should acknowledge what we have done, whether we should done it better or what are the things that we should improve, acknowledge it, and then think about what we could done better for the next time instead of keep on blaming ourselves. Yeah. That's all from my side. Yeah.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, self-doubt is one of the things that that leashes our potential. So it's about unleashing that. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. Moving to you, Danielle.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Mazuki, for tonight's sharing. I think it's a great sharing. For me, the self-actualization is a very big topic for me. I started to hear about it years ago and not really understanding the how and also the meaning of it. I just know that it is on the top level of the Maslow hierarchy. And that's why I'm very glad today to learn about this 19 characteristic. I think it is a very good guidance and reference for many of us to actually, we can do our self-check or as a reminder to how to become better self in this self-actualizing journey. So really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you for those words, Danielle. Appreciate them. Moving on to Jian Beng.
Hi, Mr. Mazuki. Thank you so much for the night. For me today, it reminds me a lot, especially sometimes we actually forgot the importance of self-reflection and things like that. So, yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that, Jan Beng. Appreciate that. Self-reflection is what helps you to be authentic in your life. Moving on to Daniel Low. Go ahead.
Good evening, Mr. Mazuki and everyone else on this call. Great speech, and I've been reading up on Maslow's hierarchy of needs before, but just one thing I would like to just expand on is that the top part of the pyramid, which is like achieving one's full potential. For me, I never realized that you could actually achieve someone's full potential, because it is a mirage, isn't it? I mean, we should obviously strive to continue to improve ourselves. So, I mean, anyone else can chip in, but I think that we would never achieve our full potential without actually having a benchmark to benchmark it on, and I think that we should always strive to be better. So, yeah, that's just my 2 cents on it.
Yes, Daniel, I agree with you on that point. So that's why in Neuro-Semantics, we use the descriptor of self-actualizing person, because we don't fully actualize all of our potentials. It reminds me of a saying that someone made. The saying goes like this: God's gift to man is more potentials that they can use in their lifetime, and man's gift to God is how much of that potential they use in their lifetime. So meaning to say, each and every one of us have all of these potentials, and our job as a human being is to actualize as much as we can of those. So that's why I totally agree with you. We can never fully actualize those potentials because there is so much. In one lifetime, we may not be able to actualize all of them. So all that it takes is what Wan Xin mentioned is do that homework. Is a lifetime homework, meaning to say whatever that we can actualize on a daily basis, we just continue actualizing, becoming better and better and better every day, because there is no end to it. So I agree with that, Daniel. Appreciate that. Thank you. And finally, let's move to Shanti. Shanti, go ahead.
Hi, Encik Mazuki. Thank you for today's session. It is interesting and meaningful sharing. Meaningful sharing of this self-actualizing. So I will take it as a guidance on how to be a better of myself. Especially, I say I can sometimes we realize in today's session by I realize how to give a better feedback or a better reaction, especially when dealing with subordinate on the some situation, handling a situation. So for example, what Mazuki said, philosophical attitude just now. So I'm really interested. That one is really interesting. So I realized, instead of giving this kind of feedback, we must understand their problem and their situation, what is they facing. So we can give our feedback on it this way. So it will make them also feel comfortable with us. So that is the takeaway for today's session, I think. Thank you, Encik Mazuki.
Thank you. Appreciate that very much. Thank you, Shanti. So with that, everyone, I really appreciate and I really value your being here this evening. I hope that from the comments, I noticed that many of you have taken gems or usefulness from this program, and I am grateful for that. And I hope to see you again in the next session. Next week, we are shifting gears from leadership. From Neuro-Semantics, we are shifting gears into relationships. So the topic for next week will be on relationship, and I will send you the invitation for that. So with that, I'll say good night to all of you. May God bless you in whatever that you are doing, and be safe in this trying time. So thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Thanks. Good night.
Thank you, Marzuki.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good
night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Marzuki.
Thank you. Thank you.